Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Korra comic news update video. And yeah, we've got one kind of key piece of news and then kind of two expected pieces of news kind of coming up. So I'll kind of cover all of that in today's video. So first thing would be that we have some new pieces of art from Irene Koh. Yeah, she's obviously posted a couple already, and I talked about those in my last news update video. We've got a few more since then. So the first one features Lin and Mako, clearly from a panel from the comic. And obviously this is our first look at how Mako and Lin are going to look in the comic. And I think they look really good. Like, obviously, like, Mako's expression is purposefully meant to be kind of exaggerated like this to get across that he's kind of walked in on something and has maybe seen something that he wasn't necessarily expecting. So I think that's interesting, just to know that she is going to on occasion kind of give us a bit more exaggerated expressions, kind of go a little bit kind of anime manga type thing on it, where the characters are allowed to kind of have some like super expressive things going on that maybe aren't super on model, that they just to get across the expression. And I'm perfectly for that. Especially in stuff like this where you just get Mako clearly with a funny kind of situation. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly he is reacting to in this scene. I think Lin looks really, really good on model for sure. So that's just an interesting one. The only thing I'll say about this also is just that Mako has gone back to his original hairstyle. Obviously for like book 4 he had his kind of more combed down hair, like it was very formal kind of looking, but now he seems to be kind of obviously back in his detective uniform. He's gone back to the spiky hair, and I really appreciate that. I think Mako's book 4 design was a little bland, so I'm glad that they're kind of giving him a little bit of that character back, so that's pretty exciting. The other piece of art that we have here is this image of Kaya. And again, just because of the kind of border around it, I assume it's from the comic as well. And yeah, this is an interesting one because obviously, look, our first look at Kaya in the comic, and I think it's a really, really nice looking piece of art. And it kind of highlights that Kaya is at the very least going to be in this book for a little bit, which I think a lot of people were hoping for and potentially expecting, just because she is one of the few already established LGBTQ characters within the Avatar universe, and so people were expecting her to play some sort of a role, whether that be retroactively establishing that she had talked to Korra and maybe Asami about their relationship, or she is one of the first people they go to maybe tell about their relationship or get advice from, or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. The art looks really, really good. And I'm excited to see her post more art. Like, we obviously haven't seen Bolin yet, if there's any like Tenzin and stuff like that. So there's definitely still a few more characters. If she wants to, she can show off to us. But yeah, I'm happy with the kind of stream of information we're getting from Irene Koh. And it kind of highlights the point of like, we actually now have more art from Turf Wars Part 1 than we have from North and South Part 2. So the comic that's coming out in like 6 months, we actually have more information about, really, compared to the comic that's out in like 6 weeks. Last thing with Irene Koh is just that since she started posting these images from the Korra comic, she has been getting like feedback, posts on Twitter, Tumblr and stuff like that about whether or not the characters are on model or not. And she basically gave an FAQ about just sorting out a few questions that she constantly gets asked. The stuff in relation to the comic is basically, like, how involved is she in the comic process, and she just kind of explains that she is key to the process, even if she's not maybe the biggest part, and that like she draws the scripts and so on, she collaborates, and kind of that's what she goes into. With regards to characters being on model, she basically just explains that she was hired specifically to draw the comic in her own style, and that's the point of it, that they didn't get her on board because she was a good artist, and they thought that they could get their style right, just that her style could work for the comics. So that's interesting. And the main thing seems to be that, like, why isn't Korra beefier, has more muscle? And she posted another image kind of explaining in kind of detail that, look, I know we all think of Korra as like a really kind of muscular character, but she's not like crazy muscly. And as Irene Koh explains in the image, it's Korra is super toned rather than like having crazy like muscle mass. So I think that's one of the things with the character that is important to get across. I personally thought all the Korra images we've seen so far have been on model, but clearly some fans kind of want to see more, but whatever. And then the only other thing is just she says that to everyone asking for the Korra Sammy kiss, grab the book in June. So more or less, once again, further confirmation that there probably is going to be a Korra Sammy kiss within the book, and she seems pretty excited for people to see that when it comes across. So yeah, that's that piece of news. The next two bits of news are, as I said, it's when to expect news, more or less. There's nothing really concrete right now, but it's kind of like we could be getting news on specific dates. So the first one is about Free Comic Book Day 2017. So first of all, when it's going to be May 6th, 2017. So the first Saturday in May, which is May 6th next year. We have got the announcement for the 12 gold sponsor comics. So these are the main 12 that they're going to be promoting as part of the event. And Dark Horse does have one of those comics. Unfortunately, it is not Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra. This year's Dark Horse Gold comic is about James Cameron's Avatar, the Blue People Avatar, which is a little bit of a kind of like, slightly kind of like, oh, Avatar, but it's not the Avatar we want. So there's that. But there is still hope for a Avatar or Korra comic for Free Comic Book Day, because next Monday, December 19th, they're going to be revealing the silver sponsor comics. So there's 12 gold, there's 38 silver sponsor comics, and usually Dark Horse also has a silver one in addition to their gold one. So there's still, I suppose, hope for a Korra comic or an Avatar comic, hopefully revealed next Monday. So let's get into a little bit of discussion on this. Should we expect one or not? Obviously there's not a lot to really base that on, other than like they've done one like the last couple of years. Like since 2011, the only year that there hasn't been an Avatar or Korra free comic has been 2012. We had a gold comic in 2011, a gold comic in 2013, gold comic 2014, last year's 2015's one was silver, and then this year's Korra free comic was silver as well. So it kind of makes sense that they're kind of gradually shifting it over to silver comics, in that they do seem to be aiming the Avatar comics more as the kind of more at kids, so it kind of would fit that they're maybe not in the highest level tier, but they're going for the silver sponsor comics. So I think it would make complete sense to have a Avatar or Korra comic, given that 2017 looks to be a relatively big year for Dark Horse Comics in the sense of like it's the year when Korra comics are going to start with Turf Wars Part 1. We're probably going to get Turf Wars Part 2 as well in 2017. We're going to get North and South Part 2 and 3, and hopefully the announcement of whatever the comic series is after that for Avatar comics. So this would, I think, make complete sense if they went for a Korra comic, just to further build up hype for Turf Wars. They could maybe do something like where instead of releasing a preview through like Comic Book Resources or something like that, making a news article, they could maybe just go that the free comic for 2017, like 2 months before release of the book in or around, is the preview. That the free comic is a couple of pages from Turf Wars. I think that would be a good thing to build hype, but they've more switched recently to really making these free comics their kind of own separate solo stories. So another Korra story I think would be good, I think, to build up to that. Or depending on where they go with Avatar comics, if there's a time skip coming or whatever's coming next, an Avatar story could actually be quite good as well. So I hope they have one. if they don't have one, I don't think it's like the biggest like problem or anything like that. It's just, oh, we had them so many years in a row. Why aren't we having another one? It would be nice to get another comic, but on Monday I'm kind of being like, I'm kind of hopeful, but like maybe not like expecting it. It's that's the way I'm kind of feeling at the moment about it. So I urge people as well to feel the same. It's the same. Like, kind of don't have like just expectations that for sure there will be an Avatar comic just because we've had one the last few years. So just don't be like disappointed when there maybe isn't one. The last piece of news is in relation to North and South Part 2 preview pages. For some reason, I keep getting asked by people like, do you know where the preview pages are? I guess because I talk about the comics so much. I have contacted Dark Horse about this, and they finally gave me a response. Very simply, I asked them, are there going to be preview pages for this comic? Not like, when are they coming? I just said, are there going to be preview pages released? Like, we're, as I said, in around 6 weeks away from release. We tend to usually have them before this. That's the kind of way I worded my question. And the response I got was kind of quite simple. Was basically just like, there will be preview pages, they'll be released soon. Released soon is like the key part of the quote that I got from the email. Is that there are preview pages coming, they will be released soon. Now, soon obviously is never a great word to hear in response to like a release date or like when something is going to happen, and that could mean anything from like a couple of days to potentially like a month or two. So, but in this case, obviously we don't have 2 months, we've got 6 weeks. How soon is soon? Sometime before release makes sense, and that's all I have. I'm not trying to say like I got some huge scoop of news on this thing, where like that we know for sure when they're coming. Just that, no, at least Dark Horse have confirmed that they plan to release preview pages at some point. Is better than silence, which we've had before now. Now, you know what maybe has caused this delay. Usually with these type of things, it tends to be that like the first section of the comic, or maybe the whole comic, is kind of loaded with a lot of like important events happening, and maybe there's not enough like continuous pages in a row to have that are kind of preview kind of quality pages where like not a ton of stuff is happening. But I think even if they necessarily can't or don't want to spoil anything, I think there's something to be said for just like putting something out. Like, if it even only is like 1 or 2 pages, like you don't have to go for the full 7 or whatever as usual. 1 or 2 pages, if you have to edit out dialogue, just kind of maybe, you know, edit it, get rid of the dialogue and just show the art. Something to just build up hype towards the release, I think would be is obviously what the previews are for. And especially with this release, where we've been really excited for part 2 and for the series to really, really kick off and get into gear, it's something I feel that needs to happen. So I hope that's sooner rather than later for that. And again, you know, the question is like, where are they going to come from as well? The fact that they're saying they'll be released soon, are they saying that they're going to put them up on Amazon soon, or they're going to give it to a website to release soon, or what? I'm not sure. Just the response I got the kind of impression that our side, Avatar Last Airbender Online, probably isn't going to be given the preview this time out, which I didn't really expect. I'm completely happy that we were given the Smoke and Shadow Part 3 preview, and that's great. So that's been the news for this video. So yeah, I'll just end it there by saying thanks for watching, and bye.